Pop art burst onto the scene in the 1950s. It was a time of great change and innovation, and the art world was no exception. This new movement was a breath of fresh air, breaking away from the traditional and often rigid forms of art that had dominated for so long. It was fresh and exciting. People were drawn to its vibrant colors and bold statements. The energy in the galleries was palpable as audiences eagerly explored this new form of artistic expression. The movement started in Britain with artists like Richard Hamilton and Edoardo Paolozzi leading the charge. Their work captured the essence of post-war consumer culture. Soon it spread to the United States, where it found fertile ground and flourished even more. Pop art embraced popular culture. It was a reflection of the times, incorporating elements from advertising, comic books, and everyday consumer goods. This was art that spoke directly to the people, using the language of the masses. It took inspiration from everyday objects and media. Artists like Andy Warhol and Roy Lichtenstein turned mundane items into iconic pieces of art. They challenged the notion of what could be considered art, blurring the lines between high culture and low culture. Think soup cans, comic strips, and celebrities. Warhol's Campbell's soup cans and Lichtenstein's comic strip-inspired works are prime examples. These pieces were not just visually striking, they also made powerful statements about consumerism and mass production. Pop art was a rebellion against the seriousness of abstract art. While abstract expressionism was introspective and often somber, pop art was outward-looking and playful. It was a celebration of the everyday, a reminder that art could be accessible and enjoyable. It said, art can be fun. The bright colors and whimsical subjects invited viewers to engage with the art in a more light-hearted way. It was a stark contrast to the often heavy and serious tone of previous art movements. Pop art was about more than just bright colors. It had a message. Beneath the playful exterior, there were often deeper commentaries on society, politics, and culture. Artists used their work to critique the world around them, making pop art both entertaining and thought-provoking. It questioned the idea of high art. It celebrated the mundane. By elevating everyday objects to the status of fine art, pop artists challenged the elitism of the art world. They showed that beauty and meaning could be found in the most ordinary of places. Pop artists showed us that art could be found anywhere. From billboards to supermarket shelves, they found inspiration in the world around them. This democratization of art made it more accessible to the general public, breaking down barriers between the artist and the audience. It could be made from anything. Pop artists experimented with a wide range of materials, from traditional paints to found objects and even industrial materials. This innovative approach opened up new possibilities for artistic expression, pushing the boundaries of what art could be. Before pop art, abstract expressionism ruled the art world. Think Jackson Pollock and Mark Rothko. Abstract expressionism was all about feelings and emotions. It was about the artist's inner world. Pop art went in the opposite direction. It rejected the seriousness of abstract expressionism. Pop artists thought art had become too detached from everyday life. They wanted to make art that everyone could relate to. No more struggling to understand hidden meanings. Pop art was direct and accessible. It celebrated the things people saw every day. Pop art embraced popular culture and mass media. It drew inspiration from sources that were familiar to the general public. Artists like Roy Lichtenstein used comic strips as a basis for their work, while Klaus Oldenburg created sculptures of everyday objects. This made art fun and approachable, breaking down barriers between high art and popular culture. Pop art's vibrant colors and bold imagery attracted a wide audience, making art accessible to people of all ages and backgrounds. It encouraged viewers to see beauty in the mundane and the everyday. By doing so, pop art challenged the traditional notions of what art could be and who it was for. It was a movement that democratized art, making it a part of everyday life and culture. Pop art's legacy continues to influence contemporary art and culture, reminding us that art can be both meaningful and accessible. One of the key techniques used in pop art was printmaking, especially silkscreen and screen printing. Andy Warhol famously used silkscreen to create his iconic images of celebrities and everyday objects. These methods allowed for the mass production of art, aligning perfectly with pop art's embrace of consumer culture. Printmaking made art more accessible and affordable, further breaking down the barriers between high art and popular culture. Pop artists embraced new materials. They used things like acrylic paint and silkscreen printing. These techniques allowed for mass production. Warhol's famous Campbell's soup cans are a great example. He used silkscreen printing to create multiple copies. This challenged the idea of the unique art object. Pop artists also incorporated everyday objects into their work. Think Jasper Johns' flags and targets, or Klaus Oldenburg's giant sculptures of hamburgers and ice cream cones. By using these familiar objects, pop artists blurred the lines between art and life. Pop art challenged the traditional art world hierarchy. It said that low culture was just as worthy of artistic attention as high culture. Comic books, advertising, and celebrities became fair game. This was a radical idea at the time. Art was supposed to be about serious subjects, not Superman or Marilyn Monroe, but pop artists saw the beauty and power in these everyday images. They elevated them to the level of fine art. Section 5. Icons of pop art, Warhol, Lichtenstein, and more. No discussion of pop art would be complete without mentioning its superstars.
I'm perhaps the most famous. My brightly colored silkscreen prints of celebrities and consumer products are instantly recognizable.
Roy Lichtenstein is another major figure.
I took inspiration from comic books. I used bold lines, Ben-Day dots, and primary colors to create my iconic works.
These artists, along with others like Tom Wesselmann and James Rosenquist, helped to define the pop art movement. Section 6. Beyond the Canvas, Niki de Saint-Phalet and the expansion of pop art. Pop art wasn't just limited to paintings and sculptures.
Artists like me push the boundaries of the movement. I'm known for my colorful and playful nanas, sculptures of voluptuous female figures.
Her work addressed important social and political issues like feminism and the female body image.
I showed that pop art could be fun and engaging while also tackling serious themes.
Section 7. Pop art's enduring legacy. From galleries to the streets. Pop art didn't just stay confined to museums and galleries, it spilled out into the wider world. Its influence can be seen in fashion, music, and advertising. Think of the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album cover, or the bright, bold graphics used in advertising campaigns today. Pop art made art more accessible to the masses. It broke down the barriers between high and low culture, and it continues to inspire artists today. Section 8. A consumer culture embraced pop art and the mass media. Pop art emerged during a time of major social and economic change. The post-World War II era saw the rise of consumerism and the mass media. Television, magazines, and advertising were everywhere. Pop artists didn't shy away from this new reality, they embraced it. They used the imagery of advertising and consumer culture in their work. They showed us the seductive power of these images, even as they questioned their influence on our lives. Section 9. The pop art influence echoes in contemporary art. Pop art continues to influence artists today. Its legacy can be seen in the work of artists like Jeff Koons, Takashi Murakami, and many others. These artists continue to explore the relationship between art, popular culture, and consumerism. They use bright colors, bold imagery, and everyday objects in their work. They challenge our notions of what art can be. And they remind us that art can be found in the most unexpected places. Section 10. A lasting impact. Pop art's accessibility and cultural relevance. Pop art was more than just a fleeting trend. Emerging in the 1950s and 60s, it was a bold response to the consumer culture and mass media that dominated the era. Artists like Andy Warhol, Roy Lichtenstein, and Klaus Oldenburg used imagery from advertising, comic books, and everyday objects to create works that were both a critique and celebration of contemporary life. It was a cultural phenomenon that changed the way we think about art. By blurring the lines between high art and popular culture, pop art challenged traditional notions of what art could be. It invited viewers to see beauty and meaning in the mundane, the commercial, and the mass-produced. It made art more accessible, engaging, and relevant to our lives. Pop art's vibrant colors, bold lines, and familiar imagery drew in audiences who might have felt alienated by more traditional forms of art. It spoke to people of all ages and backgrounds, making art a part of everyday life. Its influence can still be felt today in everything from the art we see in galleries to the products we buy in stores. Pop art's legacy lives on in contemporary art, design, fashion, and advertising. Artists continue to draw inspiration from its playful, irreverent spirit, creating works that reflect and critique our consumer-driven society. Pop art taught us to look at the world around us with fresh eyes. It encouraged us to find art in unexpected places and to appreciate the aesthetic value of everyday objects. This perspective has had a lasting impact on how we perceive and interact with our environment. It showed us that art can be found in the everyday, the mundane, and the mass-produced. By elevating common objects to the status of art, pop art democratized the art world and made it more inclusive. It broke down barriers and invited everyone to participate in the artistic experience. And that's a powerful message that continues to resonate today. In a world where we are constantly bombarded with images and information, pop art reminds us to pause, look closer, and find beauty in the everyday. Its enduring relevance is a testament to its ability to connect with people on a deep and personal level, making art a part of our daily lives.